When did you refuse to save someone's life?
My dad dropped me at a homeless shelter on Christmas Eve with a garbage bag of clothes, so his new wife wouldn't have to raise another woman's child. When I finally asked him why he never came back, he looked away and said, "You were complicated." James was simple. I just stared at him. That was 17 years ago. Last week, he collapsed on the shelter floor serving breakfast next to the same bench he left me on. I was 12 when my dad dropped me off at the homeless shelter on Christmas Eve. Not because we were poor and not because he couldn't take care of me, but because his new wife didn't want another woman's child in her perfect house. The drive there was silent except for the Christmas music on the radio. I kept thinking he'd turn around. Maybe this was just to scare me into being better behaved around Sharon. But then we pulled up to this gray building with a line of people outside waiting in the cold. He turned to me and said, "This is temporary, just until Sharon adjusts to the idea of you living with us. I'll always provide for you. You're my responsibility." I believed him, even when he handed me a garbage bag with my clothes, even when he drove away without looking back. For 3 weeks I told everyone my dad was coming back. The other kids at the shelter had heard it all before, but I was different. My dad had promised. Week 4 came and went, then month 2. The shelter had a phone and I called his cell every day until the number got disconnected. Called his office until his secretary said I wasn't on the list of approved callers anymore. Sharon had given birth to their real child, a boy they named James. I found out through Facebook on the shelter's computer. The announcement said, "Our first child has arrived." Like I'd never existed. I still waited. On my 13th birthday, I sat by the shelter entrance all day. Nothing. Child Services tried to place me in foster homes, but I kept running back to that shelter. What if he came looking and I wasn't there? The shelter workers started calling me Ghost. It took 8 months before I finally understood. He had thrown me away like trash. That's when I stopped being a kid. The streets taught you fast or they killed you. I learned which restaurants threw out fresh food at closing, which libraries let you stay all day if you were reading. I'd read their textbooks cover to cover. Chemistry, biology, anatomy. The librarian, Mrs. Smith, noticed me. She never said anything, but started leaving sandwiches on the desk where I studied. When I turned 16, I got a job washing dishes, saved every penny. Slept in a storage unit I rented for $50 a month. I studied for my GED between shifts. I passed with perfect scores. Got into community college, then transferred to State University on a full scholarship because my essays about homelessness made admissions committees cry. Then medical school. I never mentioned my father, listing him as deceased. It was easier than the truth. 17 years passed. I built everything from nothing. I had a wife, Anna, a beautiful daughter, a house, a career as a doctor. Then my phone rang. An unknown number. "Is this Dr. Brian Williams? This is Dr. Poe at Mercy General. Your father listed you as his emergency contact. He's an acute kidney failure. We need to discuss treatment options. He needed a transplant. And I was the only family match they could find because his other child, James, was only 14 and Sharon had diabetes." I hung up. Blocked the number. But they called from different lines. Eventually, Anna answered and they told her everything. She didn't know the whole truth, just that we were estranged. She said I should at least hear them out. So I went. And walked into that hospital room and saw him for the first time in 17 years. The next day I met James at a coffee shop. Seeing him felt like looking at myself from 17 years ago. He quietly told me that his mom and dad had always told him I'd died. That's what he'd believed his whole life until yesterday, when he found out his dad needed my kidney. His voice turned bitter as he continued. He'd found the shelter records online the night before. December 24th, intake for Brian Williams, age 12. Dropped off by father with a note saying, "Child was abandoned."